Hey yo, the video where I ranked every all Hail King Julien episode did pretty well. I guess it's about time to make another ranking video of this show. How about we rank the seasons? Yeah, that would be a good follow-up. So All Hail King Julien has got 6 seasons and they are all really good. Some more so than others. It's honestly astounding how consistently great the show managed to be, especially considering that there are 6 seasons basing around it. To put it the short way, I love every season of this show, and to put it the long way, I do think that there was a lower point and a higher point within this show's quality scale. And let me say it again, I definitely don't dislike any time period of All Hail King Julien, but there are better seasons and there definitely are worse seasons. Unlike the episode ranking, which I felt like got an insanely good response, I think it's guaranteed that a lot of people's feelings are gonna get hurt while watching this video. For the longest time, my opinions on where these 6 seasons all stand have moved around quite a bit, but rewatching the show for the I don't know, I guess like maybe the 6th or 7th time, I was for sure able to pinpoint the weaker spots that just didn't quite get to the highs of the show, and I know how much a lot of people love some of the seasons I put at the bottom, but this is my list, and if I don't rank my favorite seasons where I think they deserve to go, who will? Like I said though, I like or love all of these seasons, and I would say that they all range from pretty great to incredible. Every season of this show is good, understand that. Anyways, I think we should just get into the video because I have quite a lot to say. I'm so sorry everyone, but season 1 just doesn't quite do it for me as much as the obviously better seasons of All Hail King Julien. Look, for a first season of a TV show to be actually good is pretty impressive, regardless of whether or not I rank it at the bottom, and season 1 here is absolutely no exception. I really enjoyed this season, and I find it pretty nostalgic going back to every time, but nostalgia can only take you so far. While season 1 is definitely good for me, it doesn't even compare to the level of quality that is up there with the best seasons of the show, and I know how much everyone loves this season. I usually see it up there in the top 2 or 3, but I have to be true to myself and admit that it's really only good. And the reason for this is because season 1 suffers from a pretty big case of, as the first season of the show, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I'm basically just an experiment to see whether or not the show will take off. It's pretty clear that the creators were still trying to find their footing, and we're still deciding on a lot of things. Do we really want to go that hard on the cartoony vibe? Do we really want to put that much effort into Mort's character backstory? Do we really want to pull out bucket loads of subtle adult themes and references? All these decisions were still being made, and the show was still figuring out what it wanted to be, and unfortunately, that slight inconsistency in some areas holds this one back from being higher up on the list. Quite a bit of the jokes they tell just don't land. Some of the characters just aren't all that interesting here. Some of the episodes just aren't all that great. I was really disappointed with a few of these ones, such as Viva Mort, Empty as the Head, and The Really Big Lie. None of which are bad, obviously, or even fine or okay. I would still give Viva Mort like a 6 out of 10, and then the other 2 a 7. But there's something about season 1 that just doesn't really feel developed to an amazing degree, like most, if not all, of these other seasons. But despite all of that, I still really enjoy season 1 a lot. Sure, it's the worst one of the bunch, but I totally respect it for being the entrance for some of the best plot points and characters in any piece of DreamWorks media, not just the Madagascar franchise. Episodes like King Me, Return of the Uncle King, and of course One More Cup all stand out as being really fun to watch. The best parts of the season are when they go completely haywire on the story and put together something extremely wacky, just like the rest of the show. I love the main characters here as well. Maurice and Mort were obviously great, even though it's a little weird that Mort wasn't given much to do in the first few episodes. Clover had a good introduction as well, and I really like how season 2 plays on the different subtle insecurities that Clover clearly had in this season. And Julien, of course, was just a bop. His unhinged characteristics were fun as heck, and they made up for some hilarious balls to the wall, outstanding moments in the comedy department. I love all the characters they introduce. It's just great stuff, man. Not exactly the most memorable thing in the world, but it's just fun. A pretty great way to start All Hail King Julien. But the others are better, so let's get to that now. Believe me when I say that this spot was so hard to rank. There were 2 seasons especially that I've never really been able to separate in quality. 2 seasons which, whilst having opposite reasons for their greatness, cannot be decided on. Number 5 is Season 2. You guys thought that me putting Season 1 in last would be the biggest surprise here. It was extremely close, but I think the spot above this one just barely narrowed it out as being ever so slightly better on rewatch. And much like how Season 1 suffered from one specific element, Season 2 for some reason had 16 episodes under its belt instead of the regular 13, and that was what held it back from definitely being higher. That really annoys me because shortening the season by cutting 3 of the worst episodes within its catalog would have bumped it up to like at least 4th. This is the most inconsistent season in the show because unlike the number 4 spot and even Season 1, which by the way I thought was worst, those 2 seasons are at least more consistently good or great than this one. There is just such a massive ballpark here with so many 9 out of 10 episodes like Pineapple of My Eye, King Julien, and Diapers Are the New Black being brought down by the significantly worser episodes. But of course, I can't stay all that mad at this season because it is still incredibly well done for the most part. I've heard almost everyone say that Season 2 is their favorite in the entire show, and honestly, I can totally see why. There's just so much more depth and understanding to these characters here. Clover is given more great moments and plot lines, Mort is even crazier, the side characters are really beginning to show their extremely memorable and hilarious attributes, and Julian and Maurice's bromance is taken to the perfect level. You feel the friendship between them as time goes on, which makes episodes like True Bromance and even to an extent Daddy Julian all the more investing. It's a lot warmer and cozier compared to Season 1, and the settings are taken to the next level. Something that I think I forgot to mention way back when in my review of the show was that one of the most subtly fantastic things about All Hail King Julien was that it made its use of settings so seamlessly great. Whether it be the baobab tree, Julian's hut, the plane, the giant rock where they do politics, it's all so well done. Another thing that the season improved heavily upon with Season 1 is its depth. There's significantly more deep and emotional themes that come out of Season 2, and I love the approach that the creators have towards all of it. Friendship, loneliness, capitalism, manipulation, political conflict, all these really interesting themes that we get even just a glimpse of in Season 1 are fully upgraded and much better fleshed out here. And with the exception of one other, this one is able to play its political party examinations the best out of every season in the show. You can really see the resemblance in development here with Season 1 and also the lead up to the other 4 seasons that we have ahead of us. I'll be honest when I say that this is kind of a perfect continuation of the first season and a perfect lead up to Season 3. Speaking of which, Season 3 is above Season 2 for one reason and one reason only. Consistency. Whilst the season doesn't quite reach that highly respectable 9 out of 10 range more than once like how Season 2 got there 3 times, I kid you not, about 8 or 9 episodes from this season are literally all floating around an 8 out of 10 and pretty much bordering on a 9. The level of consistency that this season has is crazy because unlike Season 2, which had a massive variety of highs and lows, this season is pretty much all the same level of quality within all of its episodes. Mostly, of course, there are a couple of merely good ones, but the vast majority are just so great. Love Gauntlet, Jungle Games, Close Encounters of the Mort Kind, Butterfly War, Get Off My Lawn, Eye of the Clover, and Run for the Border are all just such banger episodes. And then there's Dance Dance Resolution, which is not only easily the best episode of Season 3, but also probably one of my top 5 favorite episodes in the whole show. That's crazy. I also love how the season tries something a little different compared to the usual by including a mini-series of its own in the form of episodes 1 to 5, which, surprise surprise, is where they introduce Julian's parents, who are the delightfully biggest douchebags on the face of the earth. Good stuff. I love how this also has a really chill sort of vibe to it, and we get to see a lot more of the characters just hanging out. It's always great to see that, especially considering just how insane and wild these characters are. There is the occasional flat and boring villain or plotline here and there, but those pop up quite rarely, and there's barely even anything else to nitpick at. Oh, and also I was going to mention that I actually felt a lot more connected to most, if not pretty much all of the characters here that we've known for the entire show's duration thus far. Characters like Ted and Pancho and Timo and Crimson and Butterfish, and okay, we could go on for an age here. I just felt like I was enjoying all these guys a lot more than any time before, both from a comedic standpoint and an emotional standpoint. Yet, it also leaves bits and pieces here and there for a certain later season to pick up on and examine perfectly. Yeah, I mean, there's not an insane amount of stuff to say about this season. It's just an absolute blast from beginning to end, and I would argue that it's even better than season 2, even if that one hits its highest highs a little more often than this. And so yeah, season 3 is 4th. If you're still with me after this long, I guess I'll give up some mini stats. So season 1 is a good old 8 out of 10, while season 2 and 3 are kinda in that 8/9 out of 10 range. I'll rewatch the show again before giving my final thoughts on whether or not these two go in one or the other with the score rating, but for now you can pretty much call it either or. Both are just really great. But now we get to the upper side of the spectrum, or in other words, the solid 9 out of 10s and above. So let's do it. I don't think people are really appreciating the sheer amount of genius that goes into season 6. It's truly masterful for what is essentially an epilogue. Yeah, if you haven't watched that one video that I did on Exiled versus season 6, I stated that Exiled, or season 5 in other words, could have easily ended the show and we wouldn't have had to have gotten this. What the hell do I know? This season is amazing. It is genuinely on hinge from start to finish. They do a prison musical montage. Yeah, they reveal that Mort is the Adam of his quote-unquote species. That's right, they go ahead and pull a massive middle finger to political ideologies and capitalism. They introduce a giant sentient mango that wants to suck the brains out of literally every other sentient being on the planet, only to nuke it 5 minutes later after calling a helpline. Just give us our Mort origin spin-off film DreamWorks. What are you waiting for? Originally, I was thinking about this one potentially being on the same sort of playing ground as season 2 and 3, but this rewatch really put it into perspective that as much as the majority of you would hate to admit it, season 6 is just something else. It goes all out on the wacky themes regarding politics and capitalism. Spin Cycle and One More Cup Part 2 are both amazing and exceptionally well-crafted pieces of work that demonstrate just how messed up our governments can really be. And the episodes give an unflinchingly honest insight into what most likely happens behind the scenes. This season is the most well-realized use of animated cinema I have ever seen to deconstruct capitalism and the negative outcome of politics. I don't even understand how they made this. Squad Goals is the absolute bottom of the barrel here, and it's still better than the majority of episodes from season 1. Every other episode gets at least an 8 out of 10, and we literally have got 6 9 out of 10 episodes under our belt here. Why did I ever consider this on the same level as season 2 and 3? It's not even in the same league as season 2 and 3. The characters here are all given such a perfect amount of time. Like, Ted had a beautiful journey of self-realization and acceptance in Spin Cycle. Willie was as dumb as ever, and that's perfection. Pancho was placed with a major role in almost every episode of this season. No, like seriously though, go back and rewatch season 6 and you'll see that Pancho is in this one significantly more than most of the other side characters. And I am certainly not complaining about that, because after 2 seasons of Pancho being given somewhat minor roles, but absolutely knocking them out of the park, I think he warranted a more focused season, so good on him. Maurice's friendship and loyalty towards Julien is just so powerful here. Mort almost gives me a stroke every time he's on screen, since all the creators said, screw it, let's just give the people what they want and crank the Mort scale up to 14 out of 10. Clover had even more great focus regarding her insecurities and whatnot, and I especially love the fact that the conclusion of the show revolves around her instead of Julien. And like, what else is there to say about Julien's arc throughout this season? It is legitimately perfect on another level. Him not just realizing these problems and gaping holes in the kingdom and himself, but actually making an attempt to put those problems in action and strive to be better for the sake of his kingdom. It's truly inspired. After Exiled, we all probably would have thought that they weren't going to keep on going with the show and just leave it on a high note, and even if they did create a 6th season, then it would probably be not that very good. But man, I am just so glad that they kept on going and delivered such a perfect finale to such an amazing show. How do you possibly get better than this? Well, you know, besides from the 2 times that they did. For some reason, it comes as a shock that Exiled is both above season 6, yet it also comes as a shock that it isn't in first place on this list. It is just impossible to deny how phenomenal of a streak those last 5 episodes of the season were. From episode 9, I Am Farticus, to episode 13, The Day Before Tomorrow, literally all these episodes are at least solid 9 out of 10s or higher. Even though I also love season 6, it feels like this is where the show thematically peaked. Those last 5 episodes are able to to manage feeling incredibly climactic for the season, yet also for the rest of the show. I can't believe how amazing this 5-episode streak is. So, if this season has some of the greatest episodes in the entire show, all back to back, then why isn't it in first place? Well, unfortunately, the season does suffer from a slow start. Those first 8 episodes didn't ever quite reach the excellence of the finale episodes of Exiled. Let me go into a bit more detail. So out of these 8 starting episodes for Exiled, I really consider 3 of them to still be great, and those are the Strife Aquatic, Raiders of the Lord Shark, and Bad Year Blimp. These 3, while not quite on the same level as the final 5, still stand as banger episodes. They are respectable for Exiled, that is completely fine, and I'm fully content and happy with their existence. Then you have the merely very good episodes, which are the Most Excellent Adventure, Bridge on the River Mort, and Forksar Unchained. These 3 are all in that secure 7 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10 sort of thing. I don't mind the fact that they exist, but this is where you could easily do a lot better. And since these episodes do have strong elements to them, like Mort trying to get all the kingdom out of captivity, and Julien, Maurice, and Ted trying to smuggle themselves into a gladiator program, that's all good stuff, and I wish that they put more emphasis on these parts instead of Clover being hella annoying and Hans just popping up randomly in one episode for no reason whatsoever. And then you have Cult Fiction and Iron Ted Weekend. Now, these used to be considered quote-unquote good by myself, but man, this rewatch has not helped these episodes, and I find them to just be a mixture of boring and incredibly infuriating, as with one character in particular, Clover. Now remember, I still like Clover a whole lot, and I think these episodes are decent enough, but Clover in the majority of Exiled is just so annoying. She acts like a total jerk to Sage, and it doesn't even help the situation at all to add in Josh, who is just a really uninteresting character. I don't like him all that much. I mean, he's fine. Clover is mostly fine for the majority of Exiled, but for a season this special, fine just doesn't cut it, because this season otherwise, and even with those glaring issues, is just absolutely phenomenal. They do something different here by crafting a season with a consistent narrative, as with Kodo taking over the kingdom and the gang splitting up under a matter of unfortunate circumstances. And the story revolves around these 3 different stories, with Mort as one, Clover as one, and then Julien and Maurice as one, and all of the story is about them trying to get the kingdom back from Koto. It's incredibly powerful from start to finish, and each of their character arcs are so well done. Even Clover, who I actually found annoying sometimes, she had a brilliant overarching story about loyalty and self-discovery, taking full advantage of everything that was introduced with her in previous seasons and putting even more effort into developing said insecurities. And then there's Julien and Maurice. Just, I dare you to look me in the eye and tell me that the friendship and compassion that they showed for each other here isn't the most ungodly powerful thing you've ever seen. They had me crying at a specific climactic moment in one of the episodes just because I was so invested in this weird bond between 2 characters that are essentially complete opposites. You'll know this scene, it's impossible to miss. This season is just a beautiful swan song to all Hail King Julien, giving some of the best parts about the show in the spotlight, and even with the clear issues holding it back from quite getting that perfect 10 out of 10 score, it is still a phenomenal work of art. How could you not adore it? But of course, there was a season that was able to accomplish that 10 out of 10 score. Even when I was a young lad that was first watching All Hail King Julien back in 2017, I was still able to pick up that Season 4 was just slightly above anything else that the show had ever put out, and 6 years later, absolutely nothing has changed. Season 4 isn't necessarily number 1 because of some important reason like you would expect. It just gets number 1 because it has literally everything you could possibly want out of this show. It's got banger music, it's got heavy and emotional themes, it's got insanely hilarious comedy, it's got the best use of any of these characters, it's got chill and easygoing vibes, it's got heartbreaking betrayals, it's got deconstructive messages, it's got too many unbelievably outstanding qualities to count, and after all that is said and done, it still feels like All Hail King Julien. Considering just how much this season is juggling in terms of literally everything, it's more than shocking that not once did I feel like the season was trying to become something that it's not. Literally everything it does feels natural to the integrity of the show, and I'm so happy for that. As for the individual episodes, you know how I said that Exiled has 5 9 out of 10 episodes in a row? You know how I said that Season 6 has has 6 9 out of 10 episodes under its belt, well, throw that in the garbage, because season 4 has 8 9 out of 10 episodes, and the rest are pretty much all bangers. For clarity, Jungle Rooster and The Good Book are both bordering on 9, so just take that to mind. But the fact that the vast majority of episodes from season 4 are this amazing is just beyond my comprehension. Unlike pretty much all the other seasons of the show, which while still great or even amazing, do have the occasional slip into merely decent or pretty good, everything here is just so well done that I can't not look forward to anything from here. It's all great. The commentaries and what this has to say about the world that we live in is so well realized, and the character developments for these characters feel so sensational. This is where Julien's arc is officially placed into action, and he begins to value others over himself. Even though Jungle Rooster isn't one of the best from this season in my opinion, that moment where Julien realizes what it truly means to be a leader by not doing the right thing or the wrong thing, but the great thing, that's just a magical and overwhelmingly powerful moment. And then of course there's Whoarted, which, need I say it, is the best episode I've ever seen in animated television, and one of the most honest and depressing things I've ever seen in my life. The list of incredibly well-crafted episodes obviously go on and on for days. I won't ramble on about it. It feels like for the first time in all Hail King Julien, they took everything that worked from any previous episodes and cranked it up to 19. You cannot weigh it down or say anything actually negative about the way the season speaks to humanity, how it has the power to inspire and put a massive impact in so many people, and for that exact reason, I consider season 4 of All Hail King Julien to be a perfect season and the best season of All Hail King Julien. But even though there are better seasons and weaker seasons, All Hail King Julien is still consistently excellent from start to finish. It's unbelievable how the show never really dropped off or had a point where the difference between certain seasons and quality was all that large. When it comes to All Hail King Julien, I like to think that rather than getting better or worse over time, the show simply develops and progresses over time, and the show does so in such a natural and nuanced way. I'm just so proud that this show is as good as it is from start to finish. Anyway, after giving it some thought, I think I want to take my passion for this show a bit further, and on top of making it my mission to rank every main thing about this show, I have decided to make 6 individual analysis videos about each of these seasons, kind of like mini 15 to 20 minute retrospectives, starting obviously with season 1 and working our way through the rest of the show to season 6. I'm thinking one of these videos every 3 months to give each one a bit of space to breathe. My next All Hail King Julien ranking video, however, is probably going to come in June, I think. I might rank the villains in that one. I got the 10,000 subscriber special coming next, and it's looking like you guys want to see me talk about King Julien for that, so subscribe, get us closer to that goal. See you later, y'all. This was very fun and long to make. See you later.